So I want to talk about another basic human need that we have in our lives. And that basic human need is to grow, to feel like we're developing, to feel like we're moving forward. So it's like nature. A plant is either growing or is dying. Same thing happens to us internally, psychologically, even physically. You know, when we're working out, we're feeling healthy, we're growing our muscles, right? We're developing those things. Psychologically, it's the same thing. We're either growing or we're backtracking. So growth is such an essential part of our well-being. So one of the things that I want you to do is to really assess what areas you want to grow. And this is one of the most impactful things that we did, is that we identify some of those areas. This means, what areas do you want to improve in? What things do you want to learn? What things do you want to explore? And it can be emotionally. It can be in your relationships. It can be spiritually. It can be some of the interests that you have, some of the hobbies, some of the career advancements, maybe some of the things that you want to learn for business purposes. So think about that and see what areas are good for you. For example, I wanted to learn more about mindfulness and how our brain works as far as that, some of the research behind some of the meditations, the different types of meditations. I want to learn more about psychology, even though I went to school for 10 years psychology. So I started looking at different techniques, different tools that were coming out, that people were doing and that people were really finding impactful, and trying them in my life. I was looking at our relationship, some of the things that I could do to improve in our relationship. How can I be more loving, more caring, show more support in my relationship? So I look at some of the hobbies and some of the interests. For example, I used to love to record and freestyle my music and write poetry. So I started doing some of those things. I started recording. I started learning more about editing. I started looking at our business. I started looking at, what if I wanted to take our business online? What would I have to learn? If I wanted to change, if I wanted more freedom, what are some of the things that I could do to create more freedom, both financially and freedom of time? And I looked at some of the interests. I always wanted to know more about what's happening as far as technology. So I took some time to learn about the new techs coming out and how that would disrupt some of the industries that I was in. Started to learn more about that. So again, we have a worksheet for you. What I want you to do is identify what opportunities for growth that you want. So what things that you want to, and write as many things as you want. And then assess, what are some of your priorities? Put a star next to them. And then we're going to look after this. What are some of the ways that you can actually go about that, so that you can write down, how am I going to actually go about learning this? But you first have to identify it, and the more concrete you can make it, the better it is going to be for you. Again, this is not something that you're just doing just to do. It's the reality that's part of our human need, growth. So are you going to decide that you're going to grow through this process? I hope so.